of you for joining and for being members of this network. Particularly, I do have to shout out Zane and Tim. I saw him on the call as well. Like they were involved in the very, very early days over a year ago now, helping set a lot of this up. So it means a lot to see both of them here and just everyone that's become a part of this. This call should only take about 30 minutes. I'll probably talk for the first half and then open it up for Q&A. This is kind of a particularly exciting moment because we, as a community, surpassed 600 members either yesterday or like sometime early this morning today. So nice milestone worth celebrating. I'm going to go through 4 components today. Just do a quick background on Viaka and myself for those that haven't really got to hear that whole story yet. And then walk through membership benefits and kind of like what's been changing about the membership and look to the future. And then the 4th section will really just be like Q&A open to hear from everyone. And as you can maybe see, I'm recording this, so I'll also share it out like more broadly after the session. So if you can see my screen right now, I'm just on the Viaka homepage, and I think this, is kind of the best visual to start things off. For those that haven't been familiarized with this, the mission for Viaka is really what's on the screen here, to build the destination for MENA's global startup community. What that means even more specifically is that we're building this hybrid space with a lot of virtual components, but also in person for founders, investors, startup employees, freelancers, experts, and advisors, all who have this shared personal or professional connection to the MENA region. And at certain times I've gotten questions about kind of what that means. It's a very broad interpretation of your interest in the MENA region. We obviously have folks that were born and raised and worked and continue to work in that region. We have people whose families maybe came from there, and then we also have people who don't have like an ethnic or religious connection to that region, but have an interest for other personal reasons or for business reasons. So it's really, broad, and from that aspect, open to anyone. For me personally, my background is I grew up here in the U.S. I'm in Boston. That's where I'm based permanently. I'm from a Palestinian American family, and I worked in Palestine for kind of the first year after my undergraduate studies. I got to meet startup founders while I was in Palestine. That really sparked my interest in this early stage tech startup space. I came back to Boston and joined a pre-seed travel tech startup that, fast forward a few years, was eventually acquired. And after that acquisition, it kind of gave me the opportunity to turn and look back at MENA and study the ecosystem there, which is something I had been longing to do while I was working at the startup here in the US. I ran a blog for a very short while interviewing folks in the MENA ecosystem, both investors and founders. That led me to Plus VC, which is an early stage fund in the region. I worked part-time with them as a venture partner, investing in MENA diaspora founders at really early stages. So these are founders that have a background from the region, but are founding companies mostly here in North America. We also looked at a few in Europe. And the experience there, meeting the exceptional talent in our global MENA community and seeing the interest of those folks to connect with each other and back with the region, that was really like the inspiration for Viaka's initial concept. Mentioned, a bit kind of where we've gotten to today. We have 600 members, and that membership base is truly global. We have members in the Bay Area, up and down the West Coast, um, throughout the US and North America, in Europe, and then, all the way through to the MENA region itself. And, even we have folks in Pakistan as well that are quite connected with the region. So it's a global membership base. We kind of try to maintain rule of thirds. So about a third of the members are investors, one third are founders, and one third are freelancers or startup employees or working in big tech. And I like that balance. We also try to balance between really experienced folks who have built incredible careers in tech for 20 or 30 years to even as young as like really promising university students or recent graduates who are like up and comers in our community. So that's an overview of what we have today. In terms of Viaka's functions, there's really like three core components to what we do. The network is, something that you all are a part of. This is our community, and this is kind of the foundation for everything that Viaka does. I'll spend most of the time talking about that, but as you might know, we kind of have two other things that sit on top of that. We have Viaka Connect, which is really like consulting and advisory services geared towards early stage founders and investors. We have a really deep bench of experienced operators, service providers, fractional execs that we can plug in with folks wherever they might need support. And then we have our virtual content. So we have our weekly newsletter, we have virtual panels and demo days that are open to everyone, and most of the time are highlighting the work that members of our community are doing. Before I move on to honing in on the network, I think like one thing that's worth calling out is the philosophy behind this. There's other efforts that are like focused on community building and stuff that are taking more of a NGO or like charity approach. And I think they're doing amazing work. That's never really been, at least my personal conception for what Viaka was going to be. So this is definitely set up as a business, and the thought behind that is that makes this sustainable, and that it will ensure that this is something that doesn't fade out after a few years or is solely dependent on volunteers to keep running. The idea is that this is something that has longevity, that will stick around, and that members can engage with week in, week out, and consistently get a response from, get value from. So that's the philosophy behind it. I'm gonna move on and dive into the membership specifically. So kind of move into section two of this discussion. In December of last year, we launched the premium tier for network membership. More broadly, I mean, we bifurcated the membership into a basic tier and a premium tier. So I wanted to take some time to really walk through what that entails and who it's suited for. The past 2 months have been a bit of a transition period, but starting at the end of February, the bifurcation between those two tiers will be, I think, more clear and more strictly enforced as well. Really like the TLDR, the simplest version of this though, is the basic membership is best for passive engagement with Viaka, receiving the invites, reading the content, but not necessarily engaging with the community on a weekly or monthly basis. Premium membership is for folks that are looking to be very actively engaged. So what does that include? This page has a bit of a breakdown. I think it's worth mentioning that the premium membership also comes with a 30-day free trial, no matter what. But the best way to highlight what's contained in the membership is to actually walk through this Notion board, which is essentially like the go-to spot for members to understand what they have access to through Viaka. Might also see if I can zoom in a bit. So I'm going to just take some time to go through what each of these components are. At the top of this page, you have upcoming events through the network. So, this is where we are today. We have an event hosted by a partner organization, TechWedi, on February 10th. There's discounts for members. This is in person in the Bay Area. I will personally be there. So if you're in town, definitely check that out. Otherwise, we have a virtual event next week, which is a workshop. We have two lawyers who focus on startups who are giving kind of like a startup law 101 session. And these are both members of the network as well. We're having an in-person event in Paris on the 15th to bring members together there. And then we have every month a virtual coffee hour that's pretty informal space for members to gather and chat. This is going to be a pretty typical setup for a month in the Viaka network, maybe with the addition of a virtual event like the panel we had on the Saudi ecosystem last month. We're hopefully going to be having those type of things on a monthly or bi-monthly basis as well. Moving down to this next section, kind of broken down along ways to, on the left, network or connect with other members, and then the content or newsletters that you can read. Networking wise, we have a premium member WhatsApp group. This is a chat, so members can communicate with each other. We also have the WhatsApp channel for all members, premium and basic. This is an announcements channel about events that are taking place. We have our Slack workspace as well, which over 2/3 of the network members are a part of. This is a very open forum. I think a lot of people here are in that Slack workspace, but it's a great place. People, share articles there, share wins, share requests, asks for help. So that's that's kind of like also open to everyone who's in the network, regardless of tier, and is a pretty open forum to communicate with each other. The last aspect of connecting with other members, which is exclusively for the premium members, is this Airtable database. This is a quick look at it. I mean, this is the database of all Viaka members, and it's pretty easy to go in and see what people do, find their LinkedIn, where they're based, and then even could always reach out directly for introductions, but you can also use this request, I'd like an introduction tool through this Airtable as well. I'll talk a little bit about how premium members are already using that as well in a second. But on the right here, you have our newsletters. So we published one earlier this week about Lena. The newsletters have pretty much the same format. We do a feature. We have upcoming events, both from Viaka and from our partners, work opportunities, and then some recommended reading this week from Tim, who was on the call. Moving down, I mentioned Viaka Connect briefly. This is our bench or roster, if you will, of kind of consulting services. And so, in an ideal world, we would love to be the first place that a founder or a fund who's a member of the network also turns for this kind of support. There's a web page here that really walks through the different types of things that we can help with: design, product management, engineering, strategy, recruiting, managing your company's finances, PR, marketing, you name it. If you're an early stage startup, we have people that are here to help with that. And then what I think is really cool is these people are also giving workshops every month for members. So I mentioned, the upcoming one about startup law. We had an earlier one as well for in January about team building. So these are things also that premium members have access to. Is these workshops that are free included in the membership, and then they get recorded and can be accessed through this page. Last main component is for investors that are premium members. So when new founders join the network, they also populate like a deal flow Airtable that investors can use. It's embedded in here in Notion, but there's also a full Airtable. It's really just a quick way, especially if you're interested in investing in members of our community, for you to see what they're doing, get a very quick snapshot of the company. You can see market they're building in, deck, and stage, and then request to be connected. And we've been trying to send out newsletters as well every month to investors. So yeah, that's an additional perk for investors who are premium members. Last component here that we've been working on is a perks and offers table. So these are either B2B SaaS platforms or research media platforms that are in the network and are offering discounts through to members. These are also for premium members, and it's a great way to save money. This is not something that Viaka as a business makes any money on. It's more so just a way to connect companies and people in our network that are doing great things with other members. So this is something we're still working on, but I do think there's already some pretty cool tools and publications on here. The only other aspect that's not super well captured in this in particular, but goes back to the database, is for premium members, we're also working on, at any given time, making between 5 and 10 introductions every couple of months to help those premium members with something they might be working on. So just in the first month of this year, we have been working with founders to make warm introductions to investors, for example. We have a couple members who are working on podcasts, so we're connecting them with guests using our network. We have investors who are looking for deals. We're helping make those connections. People might even be traveling to the region or traveling to certain cities. A lot of times people are going to Dubai and asking for introductions. So that's another ad hoc way that we support premium members. We've also helped people looking for talent, both via exposure in our newsletter, direct outreach, or like just helping amplify what they're looking for on LinkedIn. So that's another really important aspect of the premium membership that doesn't necessarily shine through just from this dashboard. So that's kind of the membership in a nutshell. The only aspect that I wanted to kind of close on was what are we looking to do 2024 and beyond. Obviously, supporting this all is a lot of work, and running Viaka more broadly. So I've actually hired one person part-time to help support this, and we're in the process of hiring another. The idea is to host at least 12 events in person in 12 different cities this year. So we've done one in Cairo in January, and we have one in Paris this month. We'd like to also build out a kind of mastermind brain trust program where folks who are working in similar sectors or similar roles can meet once a month to share ideas with each other. We want to do a job board so it's easier to connect talent with opportunities. And then a little bit longer term, but not too far in the future, we're hoping to have some type of funding vehicle that goes along with this community. Starting it with an angel syndicate, perhaps a fund in the future that can invest in startups that are coming through this. So not only does becoming a premium member kind of get you all the benefits that I walked through, it also is essential to kind of going out and accomplishing these objectives. So that's part of the reason that we made the decision to move in that direction. That's pretty much it from me at this point. I will just open things up for questions. I'm also, I don't have a hard stop at the half-hour mark, so happy to stick around. Maybe to facilitate things, if people want to use the hand raise function, if any questions come up, then that'll just ensure we don't have people talking over each other. But yeah, like I said, just huge thank you to you all for joining, for tuning in, and for being members of all of this. Go ahead, Mayuk. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so no, I don't have particularly any question, just that in Paris, I guess we are going to meet on 15th. So just wanted to know anyone who is coming, anyone here who is going to be there to meet us.
Yes, I will be here.
Yeah.
Show my camera. Here I am. You're
Yeah.
talking about the Paris event, right?
Yes, right.
Yes, I'm traveling the next day, but I'll be there. I'll pass by for sure, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to
Now,
it.
I understood that it's in République, but I believe you'll be sending the specific location later on for us.
I know. I think it is fixed. Like, good job finding a Lebanese restaurant. It's in a Lebanese restaurant.
Yeah, Marie-Jo, we ended up changing the location. It's now by the Louvre, I think.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
What is
not very far
called?
from Louvre. Yeah.
Sorry, Marie-Jo.
Which restaurant is it?
It's called Eats Time.
Oh, I know the owner. She's a very good friend. I look forward to it. Amazing. Well done. It's
Awesome.
one of the best. It's delicious. You're gonna love it. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. I love Lebanese food.
And the owner is has an inspiring path. She's a previous investor. She completely changed her career path and went into a passion after many years of working with big accounts. So she's an interesting person to meet as well. I'll introduce you. She's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's Tim, who's on the call, has been helping, and Lara as well is another member who I think she's the one that actually found this spot. So that's great that you know them.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I'm looking forward to seeing pictures as well from that event, because I won't be there personally.
Oh, of course. We'll make sure to send photos. All of us. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if there are no questions, feel free to also just, reach out to me directly with any thoughts. In Palestine, we'd love to, Shada. The way that generally this works is people come to me and say, hey, I'm, based in this city and I'd like to host an event. And if it works with the Viaka calendar and stuff, we're happy to make that a reality. And we have, a small budget as well allocated to help cover the costs for these events.
Thank
you so much, Hani. I would love to host one just when the situation is a little bit better, if the war stops, it would be amazing if we can just revive and collect everybody in an event here as well.
Yeah, that would be great. We have a very strong membership in Palestine, so and I have my own personal connection, so I would love to do that. I saw Lubna, I see your question as well. We've had a mix of events, in-person event structure in the past. The ones this year are, at least in Cairo and the one in Paris, is a bit more informal, not specific structure, just we providing food, drinks, and space, and people can come and meet with each other. Last year, here in Boston, for example, we did a panel, and that was an in-person panel on angel investing. So we can also recreate that, do things in a bit more structured manner, especially in places where I can't go in person. A lot of it is up to the local person or people who are interested in organizing something, and kind of like their willingness and capacity to set up a structure and find speakers and stuff like that. We can of course help source with speakers, but usually the structure is just decided on in conjunction with the people that are helping put the event together.
How was the Cairo event?
It was good. I'm trying to see if anyone is on the call who was there in person. I don't believe so. But yeah, we had I think about 30 people show up. It was in this co-working space in Cairo called Founder Spaces. And ironically, we had a decent number of Egyptian Americans who were in Cairo at the time, who also were able to attend. So uh, so yeah, I think it was positive, positive event. Can let you know how, like, or put you in touch with some of the people who helped organize it. Particularly, there's one member. His name is Bishoy. He's based in New York, but he was in Cairo for 3 months or so, and so he was the one who kind of led the charge on that. I also see a question from Miriam about the membership. So the membership requires an application. We generally, do that to ensure a certain bar for the community, because so much of it is based on people interacting with each other. So yeah, it's not open to everyone, but we do review all the applications that come in. So everyone is welcome to apply. All right. Any other questions before we close? Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining, Zain. Thanks for your help as well. We'll send this out via email and record it as well. Mayuk, go ahead.
I have something to ask. One last thing, Hani, if it is okay. So just like in many programs, sometimes there are sponsorship. Like if you use, say for example, Microsoft Azure sponsoring 25,000 credit for something. If is it okay if we can bring such kind of sponsorship for our founders if it is in our capability for the Viaka network?
You mean like credits or discounts or
Yeah,
something?
credit.
Yeah.
From the because many of our founders we are mostly tech founders, and we use many services like cloud or something like that.
Definitely.
So I know something uh, like for my presentations I use a service called StoryDoc. So I think it would be interesting for some of the people who make a lot of pitch decks for presentation and stuff like that. So I was just asking that if these kind of things can be also available for members in future, we can bring such kind of sponsors and things like that.
Definitely. I'm always interested in finding new, new software like that to